Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Elite Wrestling World. I am your host GhostSaad. Thank you guys for joining me right here for AEW Dynamite post-show review. What a stack card we have for tonight. Kenny Omega versus Swerve Strickland. Number one contendership versus the EVP. So a very big match announced for tonight. So let's get dive into it and talk about that. So we started off with Taz back on commentary with Excalibur and Tony Schiavone as well. Huge match, and we're starting it off with Swerve Strickland versus Kenny Omega. Number one contendership versus the EVP status. So we started off hot. I'm glad we got right down to business tonight with the match with the highest stakes on the card, similar to their first meeting. These two worked incredibly well with one another, which I realized should surprise no one, and they worked really well in the opening as well. Strickland controlled the action at the start, dropping Omega throat first over the top and clubbing him with a big boot as well. Omega couldn't grab a snap suplex as Strickland dropped him back first into the LED board and back to the ring. That was brutal. Omega hit his running face palm slam and Katara Crusher for a very near fall. Strickland was set up perfectly into the corner and ate a V trigger as Omega brought Strickland up to the top for an avalanche, one winged angel, but Strickland slipped for an avalanche angle slam, and that was very close. Omega fired off a series of snapdragons. We saw commentary tells us Aubrey knows what Strickland did last time, and that's why she didn't see it coming. And this time, referee is very alert to that situation. Strickland hit a pump kick and brought Omega up onto the barricade as both fell onto the front row repositioned, and Strickland hit a pile driver, and that looks very brutal. Strickland popped up and decked Omega with a standing house call and Swerve Storm with Omega draped over the top, and a Swerve Storm proper for the closest near fall of the match. And Cloud was loudly behind Omega as Strickland slowly rises, wants another house call, but Omega collapsed before Strickland could take off. We saw Omega wanting a one wicket angel, but Strickland slid out, looked for a vertebraker, but Omega landed on his feet and hit a V trigger to the back of Swerve Strickland. Strickland quickly recovers up and goes for a Swerve Storm, but misses it, and then Omega hits a pump knee and a home run V trigger with the one winged angel finally connecting, and Omega gets the victory, and he's now the number one contender for the world title. And Omega stood tall yet again and now is next in line for MJF, which makes complete sense, especially with Dynasty being in Canada. And for Strickland, whenever he comes off a big loss, it's interesting to see how he regroups, and I am looking forward to seeing him what's next for Strickland as well. Will Ospreay is backstage and said he has an issue with Pac or anyone who stands with John Moxley. Pac put his big nose and big ears in his business as Ospreay issued a challenge to Pac to meet him in Winnipeg at Dynamite next week. Then Ospreay brought up Moxley saying he'd put him in a timeout, which is what he says to his kid. Ospreay said in his timeout he owed Moxley a thank you. However, the fear in his son's eyes when he saw what the Death Riders did to his neck is something he will never forget. So he challenged John Moxley to a match at Dynasty, and later we get the confirmation of that match officially announced for Dynasty as well. So a very good match setup for Dynasty. Next up is Death Riders versus Skyfly Team Trios match. We saw this turned into a pretty fun trios tag with Top Flight getting a strong hometown reaction, with Zeta Steel impressed in her Dynamite debut as well. Death Riders are always entertaining in matches like these as they ramp up the offense down the stretch, uh, and the dynamic of trios between these teams was very fantastic to see. And for the match, we saw Utah trash talked Zeta Steel, but Zeta Steel flew in with a tope back inside Garcia, snacking a Dragon Tamer on Darius as Dante tried a springboard, but Shafir swept the legs out and he crashed hard outside. Moxley connected with a curb stop on Darius, and trapped in the submission as Garcia let it go and got the pin in a fun trios tag team match. And post match, we saw Moxley demanded the microphone, telling Will Ospreay it's not nice to say mean things about people on TV. He knows Ospreay is very upset about the Death Riders, what they did to his neck. So, if Ospreay wants a big fat grudge match at Dynasty, you got it. Until then, you don't let your mouth get you in trouble. So, match is set up and Moxley accepts the challenge, and it's a very big match for Ospreay after he comes back of the neck injury. So, pretty much looking forward to that. Video package of Young Bucks who said they haven't slept a wink since Revolution after a big loss. You lick your wounds and come back better than ever, which is what they did last week with Jack Perry. And their goal is to become the tag champions for the record fourth time, and it doesn't matter who is in their way. So interesting to see what direction Young Bucks goes, because the tag title match is set between FTR and Cope and Cage. Next up, we saw Speedball Mike Bailey versus Rocky Romero in a singles action. Commentary told us that Josh Alexander was dinged up last week in trios title match on Collision, so Romero is out for revenge as he mocked Bailey's karate in the early going as well. We saw Romero hid in the ropes from taking time adventure. Then Romero got in a cheap shot, did his celebration slide, and that allows Bailey to come in with a roundhouse kick. Time venture connects, and Bailey quickly hits Ultimo Weapon for the one-sided win. So again, Bailey is getting the singles win, and I am hoping that Kyle Fletcher versus Speedball Mike Bailey will happen at Dynasty. Maybe a 2 out of 3 falls match. I would love to see that. Next up is the MJF appearing live. MJF makes his entrance, immediately mocks the Minnesota accent, telling the fans to sit down, shut up, and show him respect as he is the AEW World Champion. And then he mocks Hangman Adam Page that he will never be, ever be 10 more times can be the world champion. It was the easiest match of MJF's career and easy dub. So MJF stand tall with the title. MJF hits his signature line and said he's going to double dip catchphrases in this town, and no one is on the level of the devil. And suddenly Kenny Omega's music hits, and he looks shocked to see Kenny coming out. Omega slowly walks out and takes the mic, excuses the way he looks and maybe smell, and Omega mocks MJF, calling himself the devil, then rattles off his own nicknames, saying he is the god of pro wrestling, he is the best bout machine. And when Omega's body said he couldn't go any further and medical help was needed, he never listened because he felt a respect to the fans what was Omega's fault. And then Omega said that Max was better than a 60-80% Omega, but now that he's back, he's really back. In if fighting Swerve taught him anything, is that it's not just what happens in the ring, but in the back and around the ring as well. So Omega would go as far in saying he's better than MJF, and it's okay if fans knows it. So that hit Max, and he was furious to listen to that. And then he wants to make it official for Dynasty, Omega versus MJF for the world title at Dynasty. MJF said Dynasty, it will be the God versus the devil, and you are on. And then Omega hit his catchphrase, goodbye, good night, and bang. So again, a very stacked match is set, and it should be the main event of Dynasty, and this will be the biggest match of this MJF title reign, and I'm pretty much looking forward to that. Backstage, we saw Renee interviewing Cope and Cage, and she wants a message to the tag champions. Cage said life is about choices, and FTR chose to turn their backs on Cope and jumping them and leaving them lay out at All Out pay-per-view and hitting Spike Pile Driver to Beth Phoenix, Cope's wife, and even worse, they chose to Pile Driver Cage. So that was hilarious, and Cope looks dejected as well. Copeland then mentioned the workout that they did with FTR and Cop when he was coming back from this neck injury. So again, Copeland is very furious about what FTR did to them. And at Dynasty, I'm pretty much looking forward to that match as well. So in the arena, we saw FTN and Stokely music hits and they make their way to the ring. Tony said it's a miracle that Stokely is on his feet. That was very hilarious to listen. Then Stokely said the fans shouldn't care about Cop and Cage. Instead, they should listen to FTR. They made choices and look at what they have done. And they were the tag champions after hitting Cop with the pile driver. Dax Hardwood said the tough guy act doesn't scare him as Copeland and Cage are a shell of their former selves. Everyone knows it. Hardwood loves Cop's wife, but what they did to her made Adam Copeland question everything. If they dropped Beth on her head, imagine what they will be willing to do to Cop and Cage. Top guys out. So again, a very good promo between FTR and Cop and Cage, and this match is gonna be a fantastic match to see on Dynasty pay-per-view. Next up, we saw Conglomeration Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong versus the Dogs, David Finlay and Clark Connors tag team match. Solid victory here for the Dogs, who continue trading wins, it seems, with Cassidy and whoever his partner is. It does seem like Cassidy and Strong are going to be a regular duo going forward, and even in defeat, they look good as a tandem. So I assume they will be getting back their win soon. This was a needed win for Clark Connors, who has felt like the one who's been taking the pins whenever the Dogs would lose matches. So again, a very good showing for Clark Connors and David Finlay as well. Next up is the women's title match, Thekla versus Mina Shirakawa. This was about as strong as you can have a challenger look in defeat, as Shirakawa controlled a majority of this one and had a much more serious, hard-hitting attitude throughout. Of course, the champ won via shenanigans, but it does give Shirakawa an out of an out if there's a rematch perhaps down the line. As we know, Tony Storm was attacked last week, so she will be out for the unseeable future. So Shirakawa has this attitude change uh, in her matches as well. Tekla looks fantastic as always. For the match, both slug it out on the apron as Shirakawa avoided a German suplex, swept out Tekla's leg and hit another draping DDT. Thekla dug a spinning back fist, hit a right hand. Shirakawa got in a shot of her own charge, but Thekla hit a spear as well. Thekla grabbed brass knuckles. Shirakawa ducked a shot, hit her back fist, tried a back suplex, but Thekla baffled Shirakawa with the knucks, hid the evidence, and got the win. And so again, not sure who will be challenging Thekla for the women's world title at Dynasty. We saw Ricochet backstage with the demand, and he wants to apologize as the last time they saw him he lost his cool, and apologizes to Leona and Bishop Khan as well. Ricochet said he was never been beaten for the national title by Jack Perry. Now these guys like Omega who get title shots after one match, where Ricochet knocked Omega's block off the one time they wrestled. So they hit their go home line and Ricochet cackled. So next week we have a trios match between the Demand versus Kenny Omega, Jack Perry, and Brody King. And in the main event, we saw Darby Allin versus Roosh, no countouts. My goodness, did Allin get his ass kicked in this one? Which we know Allin takes a beating almost all the time, but Roosh really brought it tonight, even in defeat, as Allin just squeaked out a win. This was Roosh's first single match since facing MJF back in June of 2024. And you know Roosh is very hard hitting man, and it was no different to that. So Roosh wasted no time attacking Allen during his entrance and violently slamming him headfirst against the railing and punting him in the ribs. We get loud fuck ice chants from the Minnesota crowd as Allen and Roosh briefly slug it out on the apron as well. Allen is bleeding from the forehead. Roosh takes a victory lap and Taz water bottle, as Taz said they go way back. He's cool with it. We saw Allen exploded up and pounced on top Roosh with punches. Allen dragged at the back of Roosh and the apron as well. Allen sat Roosh on a chair and hit a top rope missile dropkick as Allen tore off a piece of broken chair as well. Allen charged, but Roosh hit an overhead belly to belly into the corner before shoving referee away. Roosh then signaled for the Bulls' horns, but Allen dodged, rolls through into a jackknife pin, and got the flash pin victory as well. So post match, we are told this is 7 wins in a row for Allen as Mark Davis walk out from behind and pile drived Darby Allin. That looks very brutal. Andrade is having words with Don Callis and Davis Rocky Romero about this business. And then Archer planted Allen with a choke slam as the show ends with the Callis family laughing on the fallen body of Darby Allin. So families helping MJF, taking money to help fend off challengers like Allen. So Andrade maybe wrestled MJF at Dynasty, but it's interesting to see Andrade is not happy about the business between MJF and Don Callis, and also Fletcher is not happy with that. So interesting in family dynamics are shaping up. So next week we are getting Ospreay versus Pac 1-on-1, which is a very big match for a Dynamite, and I'm pretty much looking forward to that match as well. So that's the end of the show, folks. Please guys, like and share this video, subscribe to my channel, and keep watching Elite Wrestling World.